listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
Hello there, IELTS students. In this episode, we're going to be talking with a very successful student called Nilo. How do I pronounce that? Is it Nilo or Nilo?
In my country, it is called Nilo. But
Nilo.
actually it's from the river, yeah.
Ah, I see. Like the River Nile.
Yeah, that's correct.
Cool. Okay, so am I pronouncing it correct if I say Nilo?
Yeah, that's right.
Super. Okay then. Well, welcome to the podcast, Nilo. Could you tell us why you were taking... Well, actually, before we tell us about why you were taking the exam, can you tell us about, your situation, where you live and what you do?
Yes, actually I'm from Dominican Republic. It is a country located in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have heard about Dominican Republic before.
Yes. It's had a few incidences with Donald Trump, hasn't it, I think?
Yeah, a little bit. Actually, we are really well known for our baseball players. We usually export players to the major league baseball play. So actually, I'm from here. I have never lived in another country, and I think that's it.
Okay, and are you a student or are you working?
Yeah, both. Actually,
Okay.
I finished my bachelor degree,
Mm-hmm.
but at the moment I am studying my master degree, and I am still working in the technology area.
Interesting. Yeah, I've got a lot of respect for people who can do both at the same time. I did the same when I was at Manchester. I was working and studying, and it takes a lot of energy and effort and concentration. So well done there. So you're working in
Thank
the
you.
technology sector. So I guess you're taking IELTS because you want to work in Canada. Is that right?
Yes, I want to migrate to Canada via the Express Entry program.
Right.
And I had to take the IELTS because I needed some point for my CRS for the Express Entry program in Canada.
I see. And how is that process going now? When do you think you'll be in Canada? In 2019?
Yeah, no, actually in 2020, because I did a master's degree,
Yeah.
but it was not recognized by WES.
Oh,
It was an online program,
yeah.
and I was a little bit disappointed.
Mm.
However, I enrolled another program in my country,
Mm-hmm.
and I have heard that it is recognized by WES. I don't know if you're familiar with that process. So
Yeah, I'm broadly familiar with it, and it does seem kind of bureaucratic and like a bureaucratic barrier that, we're not going to recognize any qualification from this place. It seems quite tedious.
yeah, that's right. That's
Mm-hmm.
right. So as soon as I finish this master's degree by the end of this year, then I will submit my documents and apply for the express entry. So next year, I believe that I will be in Canada.
Excellent. Okay, that's very interesting. Now, can you tell us how many times have you taken IELTS?
Well, this was my first and only try. I mean,
Wow.
I passed it in my first time.
Excellent. Well done. Well done. And
Thank you.
how did you prepare for each module, for each section?
Well, for the reading exam,
Mm-hmm.
I was taking the general test.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, However, for the reading part, I started to take the academic test
Mm-hmm.
because it was harder and I wanted to improve that way my reading skills.
Mm.
And also every single day I read papers regarding what I wanted. For example, I used to read editorials from The Guardian,
Mm-hmm.
Tech Radar,
Mm-hmm.
and read whatever make me have fun. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And yeah, that way I improve my vocabulary and my reading skills at the same time.
So you read the articles and editorials that were interesting to you personally.
Yes, that's right.
And was there a specific process you did to improve your vocabulary? Did you write down new words or anything like that?
Well, firstly, I tried the Anki app. Basically, it is an
Mm.
app that you put in some Docker, I believe it is called, and that way you can have like flashcards every
Mm.
single day that they ask you about. Okay, they give you a definition and they ask you about the word or the verb that has that meaning.
Mm.
And after a month doing that, I started just to read, listen to podcasts, your podcast,
Mm-hmm.
BBC Learning English,
Mm-hmm.
The Guardian, whatever it took to improve my vocabulary. I also read the Byron book, and I found some decks to
Yeah.
put in the Anki app,
Mm-hmm.
so that way I could practice with the vocabulary that Byron suggested.
Excellent. That's interesting. Um, which, I mean, this is a difficult question. It's highly subjective. However, which of these techniques do you think worked best for you? Was it the podcast? Was it the articles? Or was it the flashcards?
Well, yeah, it is really difficult because that really depends on what works for you. In
Mm-hmm.
my case, since I have some certification from the technology sector,
Mm-hmm.
I am really used to listen to podcasts. So while I am working in my country, there is always a traffic jam. I used
Yeah.
to listen to podcasts and get um, listen to a couple of podcasts and try to figure out what they were talking about, and
Gotcha. Yeah.
yeah, get the most out of my time.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. It's utilizing that dead time that you would possibly just spend twiddling your thumbs or doing nothing with. If you can transform it
Yeah,
into productive time, then especially like you did, if you're on your commute and you spend maybe, I don't know, an hour a day, okay,
yeah, something like that.
yeah, yeah. And then if you do it every day, that's going to be 5 hours a week. That's 20 hours a month. That's an extra 20 hours that,
Yeah,
somebody can find and utilize to learn English. So in this case, you were listening to podcasts and I guess actively and passively listening, like going in and out of the podcast while it was playing, I imagine.
yeah, that's right.
Gotcha, yeah. Excellent.
That's right.
So this is what you did to improve your vocabulary for your
Hmm.
reading, and obviously listening to the podcast would help with the listening. Did you do practice exams for the listening also?
Yes, for the listening, I was a little bit scared
Mm-hmm.
because when I started to take the exams, I was getting like 5.5 and 6,
Mm.
and I was like, okay, I won't make it. So I said, okay, let me take 2 or 3 exams per day and see if that would work for me. And I took every single day test from the Cambridge book. I went from the number 1 to the 13 like
Wow.
twice,
Wow.
and that worked for me. At the end, I got a 8.5, and I
Wow.
believe, yeah, I just took test after test, and that
Wow.
was the only way that I improved my listening skills.
Exactly, yeah. This is why we don't really have a listening course at the online on my site. We focus on the writing and the speaking because that's where we can see the real results. We do have a reading module there as well, but we focus the energy on the writing and the speaking, especially the writing, because that's where we can get the feedback from. And with the listening, it's usually a case of, I recommend to students, I say, look, we don't have the course because the best way to do this is just to get some practice listening exams and do them test after test after test after test. So you were doing 3 a day?
Roughly. 2 to 3 tests per day.
Excellent. Wow. And then you got your grade up from 5 to 8.5 when you finally took the test.
That's correct.
Excellent. Well done there, Nilo. Well done. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. And what about for the speaking? How did you practice for the speaking?
Well, in the speaking, I, as you can see, I don't have like a good, pronunciation.
No, your accent
like
is
that.
fine. I haven't had a single problem understanding a word that you said. Yeah, your accent is excellent.
Thank you. At the end, I got a 7. I believe that I didn't practice enough. I mean, the question that the examiner asked me, I didn't, had many ideas for that. But the structure, I just followed the reading structure that you gave me for the writing part.
Gotcha,
and this is because, for example, and that worked for me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I didn't have a partner to practice with, and the courses that I found in the internet for the speaking part were a little bit expensive for me. I just focused on the listening and the writing part.
Interesting. Yeah, and it's funny you should mention this because I think next week a podcast will be released where I'm saying, look, what I teach in the writing, you can also roughly apply it to the speaking. Obviously, we're not going to follow the same formal structure very rigidly, but we're going to answer, we're going to give a reason, then we're going to give, we're going to build up the answer like that, just exactly like you said. And this way you can answer a lot more fully, and you've got a framework to follow, which I think takes, just like the writing, it takes the stress out of organizing your ideas. You just drop them into this framework and you can express, a reasonably competent and a reasonably full answer to the examiner. So with the examiner, did you have any challenges understanding what they were saying to you?
Well, I believe it was there were too much noise in the room, and like 2 or 3 times I had to tell him, okay, could you please repeat that, or do you mean this? And I believe that it wasn't a listening problem. It was just that there were too much noise, and he knew that. So yeah, I don't believe I didn't have too many problems understanding what he was saying. Just that I didn't listen correctly because of the noise.
Because of all the distractions going on.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's happening to me right now.
Sorry about that.
No worries. But yeah, for me, it's obviously a slightly more relaxed situation. It's not an exam. So in your situation, it was like a big room, I guess, and there's just thin walls or something like that. Why was there so much noise in your exam?
I believe it was because of the air conditioner. It was a school, and they had a big room, and they had a big air conditioner.
God.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Right. Okay, then. Now let's move on to the writing. What happened with the writing? Like, what was the biggest challenges you had with the writing?
Well, at first, I didn't know how to improve my writing skills. I don't know if I am allowed to mention this. However, I was taking online classes with another tutor,
No, I'm just joking.
but it didn't work for me because she was I was paying her like $24 dollars per hour,
Hmm.
and she told me, okay, if you want to improve your writing skills, you have to take classes weekly, and it could take even a year to improve your writing skills because
Wow.
the essays that you're writing are 5.5, and it will take too much more time to improve your skills.
Wow.
And I didn't have the money or the time that she told me that it was required to improve my skills in the
Mm.
writing.
Hmm.
And also, the thing is that she didn't give me like a sentence guide or a structure to follow.
Mm.
They just told she told me, okay, do an essay, and she will correct that for me. She will say, okay, the introduction is not good.
Mm.
You go to YouTube and watch some videos and come back with a new essay.
Mm.
So it was, like trial and error. And
Mm.
I didn't want that. I just wanted, like a structure to follow and a guide
Yeah.
to put my ideas and focus on the thing that I needed to pass the exam, and the ideas, cohesion, and those
Hmm.
topics. But I didn't want to expend money and time in things that were unnecessary, I believe.
I completely see your point there. And I think it's remarkable that some of these tutors, like the online ones and even the local ones, that they will
Mhm.
put, like business English, English for teenagers, IELTS English, and all this. And then a student will come up and they'll say, hey, how do I write an essay? And that tutor has possibly not even written an essay recently,
Yeah.
and even then they probably didn't do it under under exam conditions, and I think it's kind of uh, it's unacceptable that they say go to YouTube. It's like, hey, you're sending me to YouTube. What am I paying you for? And okay, I'm going to send you the essays in, and I'll send you them, and you correct them while we have an online class. So you're just sat there silent while she's looking at your work or he's looking at your work. I think the whole system is flawed. So, yeah, I can totally see it's. I think it's kind of a frustrating process. Especially at $25 per hour. That's quite steep. That's quite steep.
Yeah. Yeah, and my friends also, I have a couple of friends that took classes with her,
Mm,
and they didn't pass in the first exam. They had to take it like twice or something like that. Yeah, I know about a couple of them that passed in the first exam,
mm,
but it took like 5 6 months.
mm.
And I don't believe that they only followed her advices. They had to go to YouTube and read books and
Mm.
do extra work.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I totally understand. Yeah, it's kind of it's sad. I mean, this is what it is when like a tutor just decides to put IELTS on their CV or on their resume, and
Mhm.
maybe they're a native English speaker, but that doesn't mean that they can write out a high scoring essay or they've got the structure or a guide to
Mhm.
help a student write a high scoring essay under exam conditions. So yeah, and
Yeah.
plus if they're taking like 5 or 6 months, that's that's a long time. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
it's good that they just took one exam. That's fantastic. But 5 or 6 months is a long time. How long did you spend, Nilo?
Well, I spent like roughly 3 to 4 months. However,
Mm.
I didn't take the year course from month zero. I started to practice with your course after 2 to 3 months.
Right.
And the thing is that I firstly took the course, and I did like 8 essays, and
Mm-hmm.
I thought that it wasn't enough,
Mm.
and I requested, an extra pack of essays,
Yeah.
but at the end I didn't finish them. I
Oh,
just did like 3 or 2 because I didn't have time. I mean, if since I didn't start from month 0,
I
you know
see.
what I mean?
I gotcha. I understand. Yeah. Right. And
Yeah.
then how was it on exam? Well, so how long did you spend with the course then? It was like a month, roughly?
Yeah, roughly. The thing is that I didn't, I had too many things at the same time going on,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I didn't put all my energy in your course. So that's why I took too much. Yeah, like 30 days or something like that.
Okay.
So I believe that, yeah, if I had put my all my energy, I could even, pass the course in a week or 2 weeks or something like that,
Yeah.
and even pass the exam. If
Mm-hmm.
you focus just to 2 to 3 weeks in the course, follow the assignments and do the task that you ask in the course, I
Mm-hmm.
believe that it is enough for you to pass the exam.
Yeah, good points there, good points. I think as well that if a student can, I mean, from my personal experience, if a student can just, if they can focus all their energy, I know it's a lot to ask, but if they can, like, I don't know, take 2 weeks off work and then just work through the
Hmm.
course and also in the meantime practice with the reading and stuff like that. But what I find is that if a student works fast through the course and not just blazing through doing everything to the bare minimum, but working fast and dedicating time to improve on the mistakes and really paying attention to the feedback and working at a fast pace, I find that the results, the improvement is obviously a lot quicker, but it's also it's more likely that you are going to spot or remember mistakes that you've made in the past, because instead of seeing them 2 weeks ago, you're revisiting it from 2 days ago. If you get what I'm saying, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Hmm.
Uh-huh. Okay then. So, final questions. What results then did you get the first time you took IELTS?
The results you mean that I got?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, I got in the writing part a 7, even
Super.
though I finished like it took me like 50 minutes just to do the task 1 and the task 2. So I
Oh.
finished before the time
Okay.
run out. Yeah, and in the speaking, I got a 7, and
Yes.
in the listening, I got an 8.5,
Wow.
and in the
Yes.
reading exam, I got a 9.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
awesome. Wow. Well done. Fantastic results there. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Just one thing with the writing. Once you'd
Hmm.
finished, did you go back and check your work?
Yes, I had enough time to, double check my vocabulary and my grammar,
Mm-hmm.
and I even asked for an extra page, paper,
Yeah.
because I didn't have enough space in my page to finish my task 2.
Wow.
And I was really confident that my structure was the correct one, and
Mm.
also, even though I didn't get the same question that I used to practice with you,
Mm-hmm.
I got the same type of vocabulary needed for that
Mm.
task too. I don't
Uh,
know if you're getting me. It was about entertainment,
yeah.
and I practiced a lot about that topic with you. So I was, pretty confident about my vocabulary and my grammar. That
That's
part.
that's fantastic. Yeah. Well, I think it was last year actually, what we started to do was change the questions each
Hmm.
month on the course. We would change them. No, I think it's each quarter. and update them with questions that have been seen by other students on the exam. This way, we keep it really fresh and we keep it up to date. We keep the topics up to date. So just like exactly what happened with you, if you've got experience with the topic, you can transfer all your knowledge and vocabulary on that topic and put it into another question. It might not be exactly the same as you've seen, but it's still going to be similar, so you can use that vocabulary. So
that's correct.
So Nilo, do you have anything else to add? Any tips for students?
Yeah, well, actually, that you didn't correct my essays. However, the one that was correcting my essays, I believe it was Helen. She was really a ninja correcting the essays. She did an awesome job. And she didn't, okay, improve this, go to YouTube. No, she just told me, okay, this is wrong. She explained why it was wrong. And she was explaining me, in a way that she didn't care about, let me see, how can I say this? In a way that, okay, you paid your money, let me treat you well. No, if that was wrong, she told me, okay, this is wrong. You have to improve it this way, that way. And yeah, it was really awesome because I needed where I should work and where I should improve my skills in the writing part. And that worked for me. It was awesome.
Fantastic. Well, I will pass on what you said to Ellen. She'll be more than happy to hear that. But yeah, you're right. I used to do the corrections. Occasionally I do them, but most of the time it's either Ellen or another tutor. And Ellen, she's excellent. She's one of the best we've ever had. And yeah, she will just get to the issue and she will tell you, look, if you need to do an introduction, you do it like this. And exactly like you say, because I wouldn't hire a tutor who says, go to YouTube, If I needed someone to do that, I could, just send a link and say, go to YouTube. No.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay, so I think that's everything. Thank you very much, Nilo.
Thank you for an awesome course and in a really great prize. Because like I told you, hello, are you following me?
Yes, yeah.
Sorry, I was really, I didn't hear anything. It was a really good prize and I learned a lot, not even for the exam. I mean, I improved also my English skills overall. I mean, I learned a lot, and I believe that in my professional life, I could also apply that, sending emails, speaking to a native speaker that live in Canada, for example. And yeah, thank you for everything.
Oh, you're welcome, Nilo. That's very kind, and thank you. And I'd just like to add that the skills that you can get once you learn how to write a clear, coherent essay, they are absolutely transferable to your professional life, especially, as Nilo mentioned, for writing emails, for writing your CV, just for communicating in general. They're really good. And in fact, just about a week ago, I was giving a presentation and I was talking about how to write clearly. And I even mentioned, I said, look, once you master this skill of being able to write clearly and coherently, you'll probably find an improvement in your thinking processes as well, because that becomes clearer and more streamlined as well. I mean, of course, everybody's different, but that's what I found personally. But yeah, okay. Well, thank you so much, Nilo, for joining us. And I hope you have a fantastic day and good luck with your application for Canada.
Thank you. Have an excellent day too.
for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.